welcome back to Black Bookish Badass with myself, Ludwig. We are on our fourth episode. Last year in March, we decided to do something that's very daring and scary. Sati Norman. Let's talk about these books. Let's talk about badass people, and let's read our literature. And right now, for the first time this year, we are on our fourth episode. I am so happy to be back. I have been getting a lot of messages, yo, sister, why are you sleeping on us? Where are episodes? Why aren't you loading? But I think it's important for us to take time out when we're not okay. We cannot pour from empty cups. So I'm back and as badass as ever. I am excited to say that I'm launching my new feature. Now, if you were with me from last year, March, you would know that this is an audio podcast. But for this special feature, when I sit down with bookish, badass people who are doing great things in this world, we turn to visual as well. So yes, for my audio listeners, head over to YouTube and check us out. I am sitting with somebody very special to me for our special installment. And yes, no pressure to her. This is the launch episode of this feature. But Vetu, we are very nervous, right? She and I were talking about this, and she's like, no, what am I supposed to do to prepare for this episode? And I'm thinking, look, you and I need to sit down and just talk about this. We've done all the preps, but now it's time to have the conversation. Now, if you're wondering what this feature is about, it's for us to connect a bit more with the names, the people behind the names that we've heard of, behind these big titles. I want to know about their literary influences, because life as we live it is integrated with the literature we engage in. What do they read? What do they do? How do they get to the point where there are these big shots? And I know that a lot of people don't want those labels, but the truth is that we have to turn to somebody when we're in trouble with the law, hint, hint, and so many other aspects. So it's just to understand them. I'm opening it up to them for us to have a more open conversation about our careers, our personalities, our purpose, and really the intersection of contemporary life and the work that we do on a daily basis. Enough yapping. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce you to a very special friend of mine. Now, I want to lead with this disclaimer. If in our friendship circle we ever had a rule that phones must be off, she would probably be the reason behind it, number one. Number two, there are three things that stand out when I think about her: love, commitment, discipline. We're going to unpack those with her a bit more. But if we talk about her in a formal setting, in a professional setting, Philasande Memela stands as the co-founder and executive director of Memela KS Inc, a group of attorneys, a law firm. Her expertise include commercial litigation and personal injury claims. She has a notable specialization in family law and medical negligence cases. Please help me welcome her today, and let's get this conversation off the ground. Fred, hello. Yo, that felt like a mouthful. Wait, come back. Oh, I did.
That was a lot. I think that was a lot. And I think like every time when I hear someone like introducing me or about to introduce me or giving like a short bio of me, I just get so overwhelmed. I'm like, yo, wait, are you talking about me? Is this that really me? So yeah, but yeah, hi.
Hello, thank you for joining me. This is
welcome.
long overdue. When did we start talking about having a sit down?
Sometime beginning last year.
Beginning of last year.
Yeah.
So let me tell you something about this podcast. When I'm always reading.
Yeah.
And I'm always yapping about one thing or the other.
Yeah.
And it's no secret at this point that I get paid to talk, right?
Of course.
But then when I thought about Black Bookish Badass, I also thought I love people who kick ass.
Yeah.
That's not even vulgar though, but why am I beeping myself? Why am I censoring myself? I love people who are badass and unapologetic, right?
Yeah.
And I always knew that I wanted the debut episode where we talk to somebody.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be with somebody that I have a very close relationship with.
Yeah.
I don't know what the reason for that was. Perhaps also because the podcast space has become so saturated and it's so difficult to connect meaningfully. And I think I kind of wanted it more for me than for the other person, that let this be a moment of grounding, to have authentic conversations and not feel pressured to talk about the world as a very far thing. You know? And as man, like, be accessible, for the conversation to be accessible. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well, friend. I'm kicking ass.
You're kicking ass. What
We're
options
back
do we
at
have?
it.
We're
We're
back
back
at
at it.
it,
Yeah, I'm
man.
well, friend. I'm well. How are you?
I am good. I'm rolling with the punches. I'm happy that we were able to make this happen. Honestly, there are moments where I feel like I'm hanging by the thread, but I will.
All of us.
Siwasivuke.
I mean,
Siwasivuke, and that's the nature of the game. I
indeed.
said in my introduction earlier that when I think about you, I think about three things, right?
Yeah.
When I was trying to be romantic, ne? And I was thinking, okay, maybe let me open up the podcast, but ndiqale ngokufunda a short excerpt from whether it's from a book or an article I read, or it doesn't matter. But then I was like, man, I don't want to fall into that trap of making it rigid, right?
Yeah.
So then I thought, what's the first three things that come to mind when I think about you?
Yeah.
And really, truly, it's love, commitment, and discipline. I don't know if I know somebody who's as disciplined as you are, and also you are a very good listener.
Yeah.
Is it the job, or were you always that way?
I think I've always been that way. When I look back and I think, I mean, yesterday at night I was doing some little bit of reflections, especially in preparation for the conversation. And it's like when I look back, I'm just thinking about it. It started from a very young age. I think I've just always been an attentive listener. I listen with intention and I apply myself, and I've always been disciplined. Like, I don't think in any of my childhood, when I think back, I was ever any troublesome child. I've just been a very disciplined person. So I think it's within me. It's just something that is within me. And of course, then with the type of work that I do, it just exacerbated it to be how it is.
Yo, hi, uqoqekile. And sometimes, you know, I think about how we'll sit around the table, whether we're having lunch or dinner or whatever.
Yeah.
And siyathetha sonke, yep. And you're the one person that's listening. And then when you do open your mouth and talk, it's like, aha, this is why we had to wait until you spoke, you know? And I think it's such a rare skill in this day and age. Everything is moving at such a fast pace. Ndifuna ukuz express, but I relate to your experience. It's so tempting to cut off the next person while they're still talking. But I think it's nyani njengoba usitsho, it's deeply entrenched in who you are.
Yeah.
One of the things that I follow a lot of anchors and broadcasters and I remember watching a podcast. Anele, Anele was having a conversation with Kaya, I think, or it was back then. Real Talk, I can't remember, on SABC3, and she spoke about how difficult it is. No, it was the interview with Trevor. Yeah, now I remember. She's like, it's so difficult to interview your. She's talking about how interviewing your friend is a rare skill. It's something that you need to, because the danger is that you might assume that everybody already knows what you know.
True.
And so in the event bana, I don't want to exclude my audience. Let's dial it back and go back to the beginning.
Okay.
And of course, and there's all of those aspects.
Yeah.
But let's talk about you a bit more. As I hate talking about myself now, but let's talk about your background before we get into the here and now, and take it from there. Yeah.
Okay. I'm Philasande Memela, born, raised in Umtata, in the Eastern Cape. I think that's where all the building up to who I am started really to shape up. And those streets will always humble me. And I think I always was very much eager growing up on those streets to improve the status quo of the streets itself, of the town itself, of the Eastern Cape itself. So also that aligns with the type of work that I do, and it aligns with my career choices that led me to being an admitted attorney, practicing in that field. But I'm the firstborn. So I carry all of that with me. I'm the firstborn, and we 2 siblings. It's me and my brother from my mom's side as well. Let me say from my mom's side. From my dad's side, we are 4.
Okay.
And of the 4, I'm number three.
Okay.
And my brother would be the last one. So, yeah, I still both have my mom and dad. And I guess without my mom and her especially, when it comes to my education, maybe I wouldn't have been where I am. She is a retired deputy principal. And I saw her studying through her master's when I wasn't studying high school. And I was like, why are you doing your master's? And what masters are you doing?
Like, who does that?
Like, who
also?
does that? You're not supposed to raise us. Like, it was so questionable. But I think the environment I grew up in shaped me to be in love with education. It shaped me to be where I am. It started from home, to be honest with you. Like literally waking up at 3 a.m., seeing my mom sitting there doing her thesis was one of the things that shocked me. I'm like, at your age, like really? And it was not like one of the ordinary masters that one would say you're doing. It was like in mathematics and science. So I think, yeah, to say it's safe, maybe also genes played a part, because I guess then I also take it from her.
Naturally, naturally, you chose the good genes.
And I always like give her flowers to her and say, look, like maybe really, I looking back, maybe if I grew up from a different household, not founded in understanding that education is very important and discipline is important, and having all those niched while you were young, maybe I wouldn't have turned out to be who I am, and maybe I would have never really perceived or had the eager to change the circumstances that back in our town. I mean, you know the circumstances back in our town.
I know if people, surely by now, you have seen headlines about Mthatha.
Yes.
And it's A1. I'm talking about a couple of headlines that talk about crime, that talk about all of these different aspects of our society and what it has become. And I sometimes feel like, yes, we were so privileged because it wasn't that bad, Zikula Tina.
No, it
wasn't great, but it wasn't bad.
And it wasn't.
Kwenzekeni?
I really don't know. I honestly do not know. But yeah, it turned out for the worst. But we really hope that in the spaces that we're in, we'll get the opportunity to go plow back.
I
to
love that.
actually make it better for the upcoming generation. Because honestly, when you go back home these days, you're just like so confused what's going on.
Like
it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. And yeah, you know, I really grew up. I don't want to sit here praise myself. Maybe I do have my faults, but I really grew up in a space of shaping my mind to be better. And very funny enough, last night when I was like thinking about what I'm gonna say in this podcast, I laughed at the fact that, you know what, there's this motto that I always stand by, and it's funny that I stood by it starting from grade 9, and it still resonates. Still like till this very day with me, and the motto is very simple, but when you look at it and you analyze it, you're just like, oh yeah, no, I think I have stood by it. I think I've made it according to it, and just to share it, it's a very simple one. It says that when people sit down, I stand up. When people stand up, I stand out. When people stand out, I set the standard. When people set the standard, I become the standard. And that's the discipline I live by.
Did I not say badass?
Did
I not say badass?
You did. You did.
I did.
And literally, that's what has carried me, and it still carries me till this very day. And I think that's what makes me to... I mean, our field is quite saturated. I know you're getting there. But as a female in the field, standing out and doing the work that I do, when I look back, I'm like, yeah, I did it. I stood out. I became that standard.
And I'm continuing
to. So, long story short, that's the background I can give you about me.
I feel like it was God ordained. It was... Naturally, you couldn't have become anything else.
Yeah.
Because ukuba you firstborn,
on its own,
you are already responsible. You grow up quickly. it doesn't matter what circumstances you're dealing with. Actually, you don't have
True.
to be poor to have to grow up.
True.
And I've noticed that there's a thing. Of course, I'm generalizing, but you find this trend that if firstborn almost have no choice but to be responsible, and you always taking care of somebody.
True.
And so now I look at that at home. Like, when do you catch a break? Because at home, you are taking care of somebody in one way or the other.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be financial. Just carrying somebody in your spirit, emoyeni wakho nje alone, is a lot.
Yeah.
And then nasemsebenzini, you're the person who must carry abanye abantu. So I think that ujonga zonke izinto, and then uba ngumntana wetitshala.
Oh my God! You can't afford to fail. Like, how did you do that?
The
And the pressure.
pressure.
I think for it, like, literally, uba ngumntana wetitshala is like literally a lot, because the pressure is immense. The pressure
Yo.
is immense. I still remember, homeworks and projects that needed to be done. Like, you can't go play without
can't be
that being
average.
done, and you can't be average. Like, I know your teacher.
do you mean?
Like, what do you mean?
Oh, guys.
What happened?
Sorry.
Like, you need to explain. Like, there must be an explanation. And unfortunately, when we grew up, corporal punishment was still allowed, and being beaten at home was very much still allowed. So there will be consequences for you being average. You
Yep.
can't. You just can't. But when you look at the positive of it, I think I wouldn't have been maybe who I am. Should I have not been that disciplined?
Yeah.
I mean, I remember on Sundays, like Sundays at home were normally, especially in the afternoons, it's reading time.
Yeah.
I remember my room, like in my room, especially starting from primary, hey, I remember there will always be like spellings on the wall. Like, my room was just a typical classroom, so to say.
Yeah.
You're surrounded with that, because by the time you sleep, you must have known all the words. By the time you sleep, you must know all the timetable on the wall. If not, there'll be a consequence to that, because she doesn't understand. Like, my mom will give you an opportunity to explain, why don't you get it? And she was more strict in maths, because I mean, she
It's
was
her
a
area
maths
of
teacher. So she was very strict on it.
Yeah.
So what is it that you don't understand? And as like, it's so funny. There's this introduction. I think you would remember this, when we start like high school, right? And there was this thing in maths called Bodmas.
Yes.
Open brackets. And
Yes.
I literally still know it now.
Like,
because
yeah.
my mom will be like, "Oh, Master Bodmas, don't you know what you're supposed to do? You have to know what you're supposed to do." So that formula for me, I started to know it in grade 7 when we were about to start high school, grade 8, and man, I look back and I'm really grateful. I'm grateful for those moments, and I'm grateful that I turned out to be who I am.
And ukufundiswa ititshala is so difficult, because, and especially a smart person, because they expect you to get it instantly, because it's so easy to them. And even if you are a smart person, doesn't mean it'll automatically translate to you being a great teacher. And that's something that a lot of us need to know and own up to. So then, law. At what point do you make this decision? Because I would imagine for somebody like you, who's self-aware, who's disciplined, who's performing well, there's a lot of opportunities. And I don't think that as human beings, we are one thing. It's not always clear from the beginning. You could have been great at math, or you were great at English and other things. You were a reader. You were all of these different things. And there were so many possibilities. So then what really made you choose the space that you're in? Especially because I know our parents can put pressure on us to mandithi mhlawumbe also influence our decisions. Was it your decision, and how did you land there?
Funny enough, you're very funny. I saw myself as a dentist.
That's crazy.
That's wild.
Okay, this is news to me.
Fred, I saw myself as a dentist.
How?
And my mom influenced the decision of me not being a dentist. And my dad also intervened and said, "No ways." And
I would,
very,
but that's
very, very, very funny. I was accepted for dentistry, actually, because I always applied for dentistry in university. First choice, it was dentistry. Second choice was law.
Okay.
Right? I always had law.
Okay.
I was like, it's one of the two.
Okay.
It's one of the two, but my first passion was dentistry. I have an obsession about oral hygiene, and I literally wanted to be on that space. But you know what my parents said? There's no way.
Why? Or why not?
Friend, this is very funny, but you'll never believe it. I was told there's no way that every day of your life until you reach 65 years, you will be dealing with people's bad breath. Like there's this narrative that they were just clocked into that
Bad breath is a no-no.
bad breath. Do you understand that you'll be standing on top of people's? Do you understand? And I was like, I think I enjoyed it. I think I would enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think I would enjoy it.
I
But
would.
look, like I always also take from what my dad says, you know, and he more of approached it to say, what contribution do you want to bring into
Fair.
your life? Like,
Fair.
and do you think you would contribute more in dentistry or contribute more on your second option?
Okay.
And I think that's the conversation that then made me to say, oh, okay.
But he was smarter. You could still contribute.
I could have contributed there, but I was like, oh yeah, no, but I think law, because it more aligned to also what I liked. I liked reading. I liked change. I liked to follow the news. I was always intrigued, like
Okay.
watching. Like, especially any show that has to do. I think there was something called Sokulu and Partners.
Yes,
back when,
I love Sokulu and
I loved it so
Partners.
much. So I was like, oh,
Yes,
you know
I
what?
see
Oh no, I see
it.
myself there, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe not dentistry. But trust me, friend, like my first option was dentistry, but yeah, here am I, and I actually don't regret it.
You don't look like you regret it.
I don't.
Every single
'Cause
time I
enjoy what I
interact
do.
with you.
I enjoy what I do.
Listen. So here's my big thing about passion.
Yeah.
I always say that passion and purpose,
Yeah.
particularly purpose, people are always like, I found my purpose. Even I think there's going to be this thing that comes one day, ulele, and you're like, this is what you're meant to live. This
Yeah.
is how you're meant to But when I see people like you who come alive when they talk about their work.
Yeah.
I remember this one time we were at where were we? I can't remember. But your phone rings and you're like, well, I cannot switch it off because if this person can't get hold of me, then that's it for them. They spend the weekend in jail. It got
I
back.
think we were having lunch. I
Yes.
think I remember
Yes,
that.
and you're like,
Yeah.
no, but friend, I can't switch it off.
Yeah, I remember.
But it's the light in your eyes.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a drag. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel like this person is ruining my life. And I don't know. There's something that's very rigid about how we think about law in traditionally, right?
Yeah.
In these traditional careers, and I'm not saying traditional careers in a way that is derogatory or
Yeah.
that makes it less than or makes
Yeah.
it uncool. But I'm talking about professional careers.
Yeah.
There's a sense of I must be
This person.
this person.
Yeah.
I can't be myself. I can't
Yeah.
be too loud. I can't be all of these things. But I think I really admire how you come alive when you talk about your work.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter in what space. And we're going to talk about that just now. Then that big question for me lingers of what impact do you want in your life and around you? Honestly, I think Dad was just smarter in his approach. He was like, I'm gonna be gentle. It's still the same thing. It's still, do you wanna deal with bad breath? But he was like, let me try a different approach.
Yeah.
What impact? It sounds palatable.
Yeah.
It sounds like he's not influencing you, but really he
Yeah.
planted the seed.
Yeah.
But I think he had a point.
He did, and like I said, I don't regret my choice, and I think there's a lot of impact that is still coming my way that I still want to produce because, firstly, like I say, I always think back. I always think back not only from where I come from, but also within the family itself, like
Okay.
my family. I need to make sure that the impact that I create with the work that I do impacts the next person, and the next person would be the closest people within, like, my living space, and that would be my family and my friends, and then it extends to the world.
Okay.
And I have this great liking in breaking down the concepts of law so that people can actually understand them to their level, that it's not that complicated. Don't overthink it. This is what it means, and this is how it can be done. And a further impact. Now you put me on the spot.
So
It's some point. I just need to get to it. I do want to actually finalize my masters in the very same thesis.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, like it's about time. I need to finalize my masters in a very topic that is not really spoken about, but I feel like
Okay.
it has a huge impact in society
And
at
what is
large.
that?
And this is the started from when I was doing my honors. So when we do honors fourth year, we have to write a thesis.
Okay.
And I chose a very, like, everyone's just like, really? Why are you being awkward? Why are you choosing like that topic? And it was like, I think it's because it's not spoken about
Yeah.
a lot. And that topic is a topic of men being abused and not being able to speak up, and the law turning against them because
The
law thinks that
law.
females are the only people that can be abused by men, but men cannot be abused by women. And when you look at the stats, when you start to do the research and you are really within writing the thesis, you really see how degrading it is to look at what the Constitution says and how men are treated in society.
Yeah.
And I still think there is a huge lack legally when it comes to balancing the two. Look, I'm not here to say that men don't abuse women, but I'm here saying that women do abuse men, and the law needs to recognize that fairly so. The same way that we recognize and we stand in the streets when women are abused and women are raped, and we say, no, women cannot be raped. The same impact and the same level of accountability that we expect the law to produce when such happens, I believe that same should be applicable to men as well, especially if we are saying that we are all equal, and if we are saying that the Constitution is for us all. And I think there's a great lack when it comes to men. Men do not have like platforms where they can speak about the abuse that they experience on a daily basis in their households. And it's not fair that when they run to the law for help, they get mocked at, starting from the police station, the lowest place where you can start. You are not even before the quarters yet. You are just going to the police station to report. Right? But the door is shut because the other men will be mocking at you like, what do you mean? She did what? We're not going to do that. Like we can't do that. So I think there's a huge gap in the law when it comes to that, and I'm very passionate about it. And I think my greatest impact by the time I pass the baton to the next one, must have been to achieve that equality. I need that equality to be seen and to be recognized. And I need us not only to speak about it, because we do have these conversations, and for some very odd reason, we tend to sort of not pay much attention to this particular subject. Or when we have the conversations, we have this conversation, but we always compare it to women. Women have suffered. I acknowledge that. We all know that. But why can't we also acknowledge that men have also suffered, and they still suffer, and they're still expected to do extraordinary, more than what women can do, which I think is still not fair. And it's an area that the law, I think, is failing in, and I would really like to contribute in that. So I am going to finish my masters on that topic.
Yeah. When it comes to our justice system and the law, it's such a two-edged sword, right? Because I feel like even when we experience victory, it's just let me backtrack a bit. When we look at our constitution and in comparison to, let's say, on a global scale, it seems like there is a perfect template on how human beings should live, right? And even that has its faults, because there are aspects of the Constitution that you would question, right? But either way, we are not we are not at the bottom of the barrel, right?
We're not. Yeah.
On paper.
Yeah.
On paper. And then you bring up these aspects that we see in our society, in our social circles, in our lives.
Yeah.
And when I spoke about that identity and contemporary life,
Yeah.
that we want to start bridging that gap and having these conversations. Firstly, kudos to you for recognizing the need, right?
Thank you.
And then secondly, I love it when people are not shaken by mob thinking.
Yeah.
At the same time, I am so drawn to critical thinking that I encourage us to have these conversations that say,
Yeah.
I hear you, but I disagree.
Yeah.
I get you, I get your point of view, but here's another aspect that
Yeah.
you should consider.
Yeah.
And I think that is very important. Now, at the highest level, or at the point where you would ideally want South Africa to start steering the conversation, I find it so difficult to conscientize people, to rope them in, to bring them in and take them into your confidence to say, because there's so much that's happening right now
Yeah.
to women,
Yeah.
and because the conversation is, people are overwhelmed,
Yeah.
and the go-to thing, even when you're engaging in a critical debate, it's to, but there's also.
Yeah.
And perhaps what you're saying about looking at each aspect as a standalone, we will start making progress.
Yeah.
At the same time, it does not make you a rape apologist when you say there is this aspect, because people are suffering in silence. So I think we should be at a point where we're able to engage more critically. Now I often wonder, then let's talk about the law. And for you, that's your trade. And I don't want to lie. I really do not want to be you, because when you, when was it? Was it last week when one of the legal practitioners on the commission was crucified because she is supposedly supporting the wrong side? It has happened so many times where I'm like, but I wonder what fair. Because when men support criminals, they are not questioned about their morals. There's something about women that makes people want to question their moral standing. And I don't know how that follows you into your trade, where you are a legal practitioner. You are practicing as an attorney. You are supposed to defend somebody. At some point, they will be wrong, right? But there is this close scrutiny when it comes to women. And then there's the other aspect of it, where sometimes you just got to deal with things as they come. And I suppose my question is to how you are navigating that world. Let's tie that into your specialty as well, or the areas where you function or where you trade. How is, I don't wanna make it a, how do I say this without sounding like I am belittling our struggles? I don't want to make it a as a woman conversation, because we are trying to nullify that. We're trying to cancel that out, and at the same time we fall into the trap. So I do want to talk about the issues that you will experience. Bring them up if they come up. But I also want to talk to you as a legal practitioner first. You know, and not necessarily as a female practitioner. You know what I mean? Because then it's easy to get caught up in the
being
injustices,
the female.
And because the injustices are there,
No, they're
and
there.
they have to be addressed.
No, they're there.
Yeah. Now the law is, we need it.
Yes.
We also need lawyers that, this is now my opinion, that recognize human beings and human behavior. And I'm not saying you don't. But what I mean is that you don't operate in a vacuum. Society is very complex. Human beings are I suppose you know human beings are complex.
Human beings are very complex.
Yeah.
Very complex. Look, so mainly I specialize in the areas that you introduced on your introduction, you included. And I think in the three, the most that I get to really deal with human beings, it's family law. There you really deal with human beings. that is a complex field, and it's very taxing, even with you as a practitioner, especially where, for an example, you are acting on behalf of the father in that divorce. You are perceived in a certain way, and you're just like, look, but it can only be fair for me to say what I'm saying, despite me being against a woman. I mean, it has to be that this is the law and this is my client.
I
And
almost want to say I'm playing the game and this is how it's played. You know what I mean? Like if I'm a basketball player, I play the game more.
yes, I'm playing the game, indeed. So when you play the game and you're playing the game and you're playing for a team man and you're a woman, you are seen to,
Like what? How dare you?
what's going on there? You know, but it's a very interesting area of law, which is very taxing, like literally, emotionally, and physically. It doesn't only. I mean, I think legally, family law is not as complex as people think it is. It's not as that complex.
So it's more the
It's
emotional
more the
aspect.
emotional, because
Okay.
we're dealing with human beings. We're dealing with children, and oh, my great heart always goes to the children. So when you, for an example, are having a divorce, things can get very toxic between the parties, to the point that the children get to be affected. And my role there as an attorney, or any attorney in that situation, is to protect the children. The children must not experience what the parents are actually going through.
Sure.
And it's very difficult in that space to separate yourself as an individual, like as a human being, and your role as an attorney. You get yourself picking up phone calls at 11
Yo.
p.m. because parties are fighting and one is taking a child and this is not happening, and you're just like, oh, but this is not work anymore. Like, I have overextended myself. So, and I think if you are very passionate about what you do overextend yourself.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I'm very passionate about what I do. So more often than not,
You will
I
overextend.
overextend myself. And look, at the end of the day, I get happy clients who will even come back, like who still contact me even this very day to say, look, my life changed through the divorce, but I'm now at a better space. And thank you for the emotional support that you gave me. So it was not only just legal, it was also an emotional path that you have to take with the client, understanding what they're going through. And the other side of what I practice, which I enjoy, would be your corporate law. Corporate law is very separate from corporate or from litigation, just
Okay.
litigation. And I think people misunderstand the two. We don't just litigate. Corporate law is it's a niche side of law. We deal mainly with companies' acquisitions. We deal with structuring of companies.
Okay.
And at least the only thing I'm required to do is to read. So I read. And I guess it's what I signed up for.
It
like,
is that-
like it's literally reading and understanding. The litigation, going to court and arguing, is lesser.
Okay.
The more of it is understanding.
Reading.
Is understanding, was this structured correctly? Can this measure actually really happen? Is this really going to work in South African law? If you're merging with an international company, for an example, are these laws not going to be contrary to each other? Can this be done? So it's a very interesting field, which I enjoy. But at least there, you're not dealing with emotions. You're just dealing with purely the law. You just need to, your
Facts are
thing.
facts.
Facts are facts. This is what it says. You deal with a contract. This is a contract. This is what it said. Is it breach or is it not breach? It is indeed breach. What does the clause say? Then we argue about that. Was it legal? Was it not legal from onset? Did the parties sign? Did they not sign? You signed. So did you agree to the clause? You did agree. What are we then saying? So it's a fun part of the law that excites me because I don't deal with emotions.
Yeah.
But touching on what you're saying, there's still indeed like spaces where we are a minority, like females are a minority. I'm taken back to one of the matters where I was dealing with the liquidation and sequestration matter, and believe you me, this was last year, and I was still like very stunned in that meeting that I was the only female.
Crazy. In
I was
2025.
in 2025. I was the only female sitting in that meeting, and I was just like, but this is wild. I'm the only female. Not to say that black, white, green, yellow. No, just by female, male. I was the only female in that meeting against obviously men, and there was no black person except for me in the meeting, and it was like, no, this cannot be.
This cannot be okay.
No, this cannot be okay. So as we were busy like discussing and like dealing with the matter that we're dealing with, but at the back of my mind I kept on saying,
Conway off.
I can't do all. But surely
off.
I cannot be the only one sitting in this room, and surely there can't be other females out there that can't be in the same room that I'm in. And to also tie back to exactly what I said about impact and changing, that made me to say, look, this is a space that I need to say, guys, come into the space.
Guys.
Yizani, you want to specialize in it and you're already in the field. Come into the space. We need more of us in the space, whether black or white, but as long as you're female, come into the space, because it cannot be in 2025 that I'm going to be the only female against 6 men.
And about middle age, a lot of time. Look, I will say
All of them.
I will confidently say, because it compromises me. I didn't compromise it at all. Black women must be in that space.
Exactly.
You need to young black women,
Yeah.
black women,
Yes.
black and badass,
Yes.
black,
Indeed.
come through and join the
Yes.
space. And I think
Yes.
it happens ngokuba nesincedisana, because
Yes.
there's going to be aspects of your career where you feel like I've reached the ceiling in terms of what I'm exposed to.
Yeah.
But the more we hear about people like you who open the door, who have walked a certain path, it's easier for you to be like, shooty, there's something else
Come.
that I can do.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times when you're talking about these two worlds, it takes me back to every time I do pop-ups and I meet either a lawyer
Yeah.
or an academic.
Yeah.
Bayazifuna incwadi but abafuna ufunda. They're like, yo,
Yo,
filmmaker, lawyer, academic. Yo,
Yo,
I have to
read.
read.
Yo, we read.
But the crazy thing is that these are the people that still appreciate books more.
yeah, we do.
And I love that. I love those interactions, because it's
We do.
when am I going to find the time? But they're the same people that be like, okay, let me buy it. I will find the time,
Yeah.
Let's talk about that contrast when it comes to these different worlds.
Yeah.
To me, it almost sounds like you show up differently when you're doing family law,
Yeah.
and you show up differently go sense corporate law, right? But at the same time, one thing remains consistent. You need to be on top of your game.
Of course.
You need to understand
Yeah.
where your client is, where you want to take them, right?
Yeah.
I wonder, though, if in this climate and in this economy, practitioners can afford to choose. And I know the affordability question is such a big one, because economically, whether you're running your own firm or you want to make it as partner for one of the big four, or Bati, don't big four, big five?
Big 5.
Big five.
Yeah, big 5. Bati, big 5.
Big five.
Yeah.
Or nobody indoni, like in the space where this is the milestone, this is the next milestone. I wonder then but let's talk law firm, let's talk entrepreneurship, let's talk running your own business. Hey, it's getting heated.
It is.
Can you, I want to say strategically,
Yeah.
I want to say, can you afford to choose number one? I don't want to say from a moral aspect, but in terms of knowing my boundaries as an individual, I don't want to stand for the other side.
Yeah.
Can I afford to make such choices, number one? And then number two, strategically, as a law firm operating in South Africa, what are some of without necessarily giving out your blueprint, but we did say, Bana, we want to open it up a bit more. What is a good way to be strategic so that you stay afloat and you continue to get clients and you're able to operate wenze lo msebenzi okonelisayo enhlizweni yakho,
Yeah.
So those, I think I want to unpack it in those two ways. Number one, can you afford to be like, yo, I won't support the other side? Kona, how do you ever know who's guilty or who's wrong,
Look, it boils down to you can afford if your morals don't allow you to do certain things.
Okay.
Right. I will speak for myself. For an example, I do not do criminal law.
Okay.
And my reasons for that, it's my morals and ethics do not allow me to.
Uh-huh.
But if they did, I would do it for the sake of being afloat of the
Okay.
business. But when you're starting a firm, building a firm, I think the most strategic thing that you must first do is to think of your niche.
Uh-huh.
You need to find a niche. The various areas of law that we can practice in, but you can't be good in all of them. So that's why it's very important to first identify your niche. And with that said, once you identify your niche, you can then say, okay, will this work for me if I want to open a firm?
Okay.
Surely I cannot just open a firm and say, okay, my niche, I want it strictly to be corporate law. That this is just me. Because there are big fives, like you said. Like, who am I against the big five? I'm nothing. Unless I'm going to be having a meta with the big five where I'm saying, hey, look, can I be there with you guys? You guys will, of course, take the lead. Can I work with you on the meta, but still with my identity of my firm? Then you start to grow from there. But because of that, you can't just open a firm only based on that. So you will have your other areas that you will say, okay, well, I like this, and I think I can do something with it just for you to keep afloat. Because to be honest with you, being an entrepreneur, opening a firm, being a female also plays like a huge role. And I think the most important thing out of this conversation would be to factor, look, every day we have so many attendees that get to be struck off the roll.
Yeah.
And the reason why people are struck off the roll, it's not because they want to be struck off the roll. It's because of exactly the second part of the question that you asked. The being afloat part is very difficult. It's extremely difficult. And we know that with us, you can't touch trust money. But because you are in a crisis financially, you have employees that you have to pay, you have your debts that you have to pay,
and you have a life to live.
Exactly. You're looking at the money sitting on trust, and people, because of the same thing, like, I guess you just have to be ethical. It can't work if you're not ethical. Your ethics must speak to you. You must wake up knowing your ethics, that no matter what, that is not my money. But the reason why we have, coming back to my point, the reason why we have so many Antillians that are being struck off the roll, they're being struck off the roll for using or misusing trust funds, right? Monies that did not belong to them at the time when they used those monies. Because a client will come to you, say, okay, I want to brief you on this matter. You ask for a deposit, rightfully so. Let's say your deposit, you say you want 20K, 50K, that you cannot use in terms of the rules.
Okay.
I can only touch that money when I have done something. So let's say, for an example, I consult with you, I peruse the papers, I read, I am then entitled to charge for the hours spent when doing that. Then that's the only time that I can actually touch that money, transfer it from trust to business, and then it's rightfully now money for the business, and I can use that money. But now the danger in that, if I'm sitting with 50 sitting there and I have not received an instruction, the ethics come into play. What are you going to do? And because of the challenge in our economy, people find themselves using those monies, and it is misuse. And you have indeed contravened, our rules. The LPC doesn't allow that, so you will be struck off the roll. And
it sounds like something silly. Honestly, it sounds like you compromised yourself for something so silly, but it's not silly.
But it's not when you look at it, because what am I supposed to do? And you get like firms that were doing very well during the time when the RIF was still like up and rolling and they were paying, and those firms have closed down. Some of them are still surviving from other areas of law that they practice in, but they are not as afloat as they used to. And now you ask yourself, people who were used to a certain lifestyle because of those, what are they supposed to do now? Those are the people that you find them falling into the trap of using trust monies, which you are not supposed to use. So, long story short, if you want to get into the space, you must get into the space having thought through it. There's no rush into getting into the space because it's not easy to run a firm.
It doesn't look easy, that's for sure.
There are systems that you have to have. On top of the systems that you have to have, there are employees that you have to have. There's you that you also have to have. There are clients that you have to have. So it also comes back to the question that you were asking, whether are you able to say, no, I'm not going to defend you.
Yeah.
You find yourself sometimes taking that work, although ordinarily you would have
You
said,
wouldn't,
no,
like,
can I refer you to someone? But you don't want to do that
Yeah.
referral because you're looking at the other side of it, that maybe that 5,000 could help me with something, right? If I take that matter. So let me rather take it. So it's a balance between the two, but really it's a difficult space, but it's not attainable. You can do it, but you just need to be very strategic about it. And yeah, they always say, I know the field is saturated, there's a lot of us, but I think we can be as many as we can be, but it boils down to who are you? What are you bringing on the table? Which is why I'm saying find your niche before you open that firm. You trust me, you will never find another Pila who's going to serve you
The way Pila does.
the way Pila does. So with that said, we are many, but you can come through. But find your niche before you come through.
Yo, and know the tools of trade and know the
Yeah.
game and play the game well and,
play the
understand the
game.
game.
Yeah.
So then I want to talk about it always feels like you never need a lawyer, right? It always feels like you never need a lawyer until you need a lawyer.
Yeah.
Or until you actually, it depends on where you are.
Yeah.
I'm talking now personally, right?
Yeah.
Like in this lelele apa, sis
What am I
tetela,
gonna
why do I
do?
need a
Like,
lawyer?
But
But at the same time, you spoke about family law, and I know for a fact, if I really had to sit and interrogate, there should be a reason why I should book a consultation. One way or the other. And I'd probably get out of that situation thinking about maybe 4 reasons why I should have a lawyer on standby, or I should have at least booked a consultation. That there's so many legal representatives, and the more we grow as young people, it seems like there's more responsibility.
Yeah.
And sometimes at face value, we assume that we understand things.
Yeah.
And because we read the fine print sometimes, we assume that we get it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you can simplify this for me in that I don't want to say who needs a lawyer, but the value of booking a consultation, whether I just started a new job or I'm running a business or I'm employed and I'm trying to get my house in order. I'm thinking about the aspect of family law that you spoke about, because obviously I wouldn't talk about the corporate aspect as yet.
Yeah.
But in terms of family law, is that me as Lutwegazi and the things and the people around me, is that wills and all of these things that I need to take care of that I always put off for later. Let's talk about that briefly as we get to the end of our discussion.
Look, firstly, one, you always need a lawyer. There's absolutely no way that you don't need a lawyer. But I know that people...
Even if I'm on my best behavior.
Yes, you always need a lawyer because you need that will, firstly. If you don't have a will, you need that will. This is going to simplify everything for everyone, should anything happen to you. Because if you leave it for the
Later.
11th hour and it never really happens, then you're leaving everyone, basically.
But what if I don't have any... Okay, I don't want to say I don't have assets.
You think that you don't have assets.
Okay.
Up until you pass away. And here are family members wanting that one handbag, and they're fighting over it. And they're fighting over her bank card. They're fighting over the very last 1,000 rands that you had. You think you don't. You really think you don't have the things that require you to have a will. But when you have a consultation with an attorney and you start going through what is needed on a will, you actually realize that, oh, shucks, I didn't think about that. I didn't think about,
my shoes,
where,
my car,
yeah,
my home.
Yes, how do I want to be buried,
Okay, maybe
actually?
home is a bit dramatic.
Where do I want to be buried? How do I want to be buried? Do I want a long program or a short program? That's how detailed we go into these wills, hey? So you do need that consultation, but you might not think that you need it because that simplifies everything else for everyone else that you're leaving. Because if Ludwig's will says that, guys, my program, make it short, I want to be buried at this
No,
burial
30 minutes,
site.
guys, ni goduke.
You
Like
get me?
godukani.
Yeah, and you can simply state that on the will, and no one has to fight about it. Which church do you want to be buried by? Like, because there are all those things within us, well, black people, that people get to fight about. That no, whose church is going to bury her? Oh well, no. You can just simply say hire any pastor, for an example. Or I don't want one. Simplified, put it on a will, and it's done and dusted. And we don't have to fight about it. No one has to fight about. We don't have to have your body waiting in a mortuary for people to decide, oh, do you get what I mean? Because Luda did not make that decision for herself, which could simplify
The process for
the process for everyone. Oh, guys, ningathethi nonke man phila thethe nje noba thethe two people needed
In fact,
on my
no
behalf.
one.
No one. Nindazi
Nime
nonke
nonke
mos,
pha,
but
we
do you
need
get what I mean?
discuss,
Those are the
yeah.
things that can be included on the will. It doesn't have to be you having millions for you to have a
Or
will.
just financial.
Just simplifying things. Like surely, uhlele apho, I know you would have like a policy. Is that policy, what are the process going to say? Are they, like in that consultation, we get to unpack that. Have you nominated beneficiaries? Okay, sharp. Is your estate going to be above, or do you think it's going to be lower, 250? Okay, so who would you want to be your executor, for an example? You nominate those people. The family doesn't have to fight, but nominate Abani as Ludwig's executor because now Ludwig has passed away. Ludwig simplified it. She had a will.
Sanunjikela ke after I've just chosen you. Because another thing is niyajika nina.
No. So everyone needs an attorney. And also for that fine print, friend, like every day of our lives, people deal with contracts. People have issues with contracts. You go to MTN, you want a phone, you don't know, like you're under pressure.
Yeah.
You say, yes, I understand the terms and conditions. Later, boom, you're shocked. Oh, was that not covered? I thought it was covered. And they tell you, go back to the blueprint. Go check that. If you had someone to just say, hey, look, I don't want much from you. Can you just check this? Can I sign this? Can I enter into this agreement? And also in the space that you're in, you also contract with a lot of other service providers. You do need an attorney to secure those contracts. Make sure that, hey, does this sound right? Is this correct? Is there a clause missing? Is this fine? You do need that. And also, very important, the aspect of family law. People do need attorneys because now with the whole thing that the judgment of the Constitutional Court that came out, and I wrote an article about it.
Can we read the article?
It really, you can read the article on my website.
Okay. What's
MKS Inc. website. It is there. It caused a lot of confusion to a lot of people. People didn't understand that. It was just chaos. Other people were saying, no, this is new. Is this going to apply retrospectively? I'm just like, guys, wait. That's the thing about me. Exactly what you said.
Sure,
I will
like
wait for the noise. Like, I was just like, what are people talking about? Like even our Leonard colleagues were appearing on news saying some things that I'm just like, no, but
That's
cannot
not what it
be. No, it did say
says.
that. This is not new. This has always been there. And if people had consulted with attorneys prior to them getting into ANCs, for an example, or prior to lobolas being paid, they would have known what will be the position. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and this has always been there. We've always said, I don't know how many times we've preached it. Guys, do not allow anyone to go to your home. Don't allow that letter to be sent before you come and consult with us so that you can draw that ANC and make sure that if you don't want to be in commute of property, then you're not married in commute of property. If you allow that letter, that one meeting to sit, and then you come after the meeting to us.
It's already
in commute of property. What do you want? Do you get what I mean? So it's those simple things that people do not think of, but they think of after.
Saze sabancane ke.
But you do. You do
Yeah,
need attorneys.
yeah.
And that's why it's very important to have attorneys.
I also think that maybe for the benefit of the couple, it's so easy when somebody else that's in Zotini objective is not going to say the thing that you're scared of saying, right?
Yeah.
So we book the consultation together.
Yeah.
You can bring up the difficult questions that I've been dying to talk about, but I'm like, I don't want to compromise this person and make them feel like I don't trust them or whatever the case may be. But at some point, we do need to get over hurting each other emotionally and talk
Yeah.
about things practically.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I appreciate about the law itself, and a lot of people who are exposed to it.
Yeah.
They don't shy away from what is a
Yeah,
fact.
it is a fact.
We can deal with how you feel later, but the fact is this is what's happening.
Unfortunately,
You know what? I think I would have loved for us to really unpack a bit more,
Yeah.
especially the family aspect of it, because I think we show up differently in the world when our things are taken care of at home.
Yeah.
And I think at some point I will ask you to come back here so that we talk about this aspect. That's one of the things that I am somewhat passionate about, that your family, there's so much that it does for us as human beings when we are okay at home, when things are okay at home. That's why when you messed up, people will be like, what's happening at home?
Yeah,
Kwenzekani ngawe at home?
Yeah, moves are back home.
You know?
Yeah.
Like kwenzekani. But as we wrap up, let's talk about your literary influences. What books are you reading? What books have you read? What book, let me put it this way, because I can't ask you a whole question that reflects on your life at the end of the show. But I know that there are books that just sit with you and you sort of revisit, or they change your life completely. You will never be the same after you've read that book. Whether it is from a technical point of view where you're like, I appreciate this writing, or there's a shift that happens emotionally, or it just completely unveils something new to you, that a world that you never even imagined you would play in. Is there a book like that for you? I know there is, but which book is it? And
it's so difficult.
Do you remember a moment? I know it's tough to choose.
It's so difficult for me to choose.
I know it's tough to choose.
It's very difficult for me to choose, because I feel like if I'm choosing this one,
you're abandoning the other. And you know what happens as well? When you go home, on your way home, you will start to be like, why did I mention that one?
Yeah.
Why did I mention that one?
Why did I mention this? Yeah. Look, I'll keep it simple. I'll give you my best two.
Okay, best two. I'll take best two.
There are three.
Okay.
But I'll give you my best two that have carried me thus far.
Okay.
And I think they'll be of benefit to the others if they've not read it.
Okay.
Right. And before I say these, I think you're gonna laugh, because it's gonna be so obvious.
I will most likely laugh.
You're just gonna say like, flip, it makes sense.
I'll most likely laugh.
Okay. Simple one. Very simple. But I find it very influential. It's Who Moved My Cheese.
What?
Love that book so much.
Somebody just said they were reading it yesterday. It's okay.
Who Moved My Cheese? Goodness me. Mind-blowing book. Very simple.
Guys, I need to,
Very simple. But look, you need to revisit it if you haven't read it. Or if you read it, you'd need to finish it.
I didn't get through it. I was just like...
Now I'm going to hold you accountable to finish the book.
Oh, Buffett.
Guys, if you want anything, or if you want to learn about adapting to change and adapting to change very fast, you need to read that book. Like, that book is a lifetime book that I think it just shapes you. There's just something... It's a simple book, but when you read it and the lesson you learn out of it, you need to adapt to change, and how to adapt to change, and how to accept change, and how to accept change fast enough. Like, you can't keep on being stuck on the past. And I think it applies to your life as a whole, not just like one area. Once change hits, accept that there's change, adapt with change, move with change.
Sure.
Or there will be a consequence if you don't.
Yeah.
So I challenge you to go read that book. The second one will be 48 Laws of Power.
Yo, guys, Pilar's on self-help. Pilar's on I'm getting my life in order, discipline.
I don't read fiction. And you know this about me.
I know, ne, but I'm going to put you on. I'm going to put you on fire fiction and... But
I don't read fiction because
Yo, guys.
I think for me reading for me, I enjoy being equipped. I must get something out of it. I love getting something out of it. I love reading something that will be of a life lesson moving forward. what am I taking out of it?
Wait. So you want it to be structured as a lesson, because you know what the misconception is with fiction, right? And I'm not here to start a whole fiction debate and stuff, but that's always a misconception with fiction specifically, not African fiction, not just fiction. The misconception is that it is frivolous.
Yeah.
And it's not always the case.
Yeah.
Because remember, there's a setting, there's context, and there's all of these other aspects.
Yeah.
But we are wired differently. In the same way, I
we
struggle
had
with
this debate before. We literally had this debate.
and I will have it with everybody that's willing to listen. Guys, please, hey, I'm actually gonna do a list of 10 fiction titles. I wasn't gonna do this, but there's also a gentleman that I met. I think this was in 2024.
Yeah.
He says to me, man does not read fiction. Yeah. And I was like, whoa. I could just speak on the African Writers series alone, and not talk about other things. I can understand feeling like I'm wasting my time, but there's really brilliantly written fiction that will give you so much understanding of the world and how we live it. But anyways, let me not deviate from the two titles. Who Moved My Cheese?
Yes.
Who Moved My Cheese? You're not the first person to reference this book in terms of adapting to change.
No, it's very
but I
good.
think I love how you're saying to adapt quickly as well, because change is that's one thing that's certain. But
Definitely.
why do we resist it? I don't know.
I also don't understand why.
I don't know why we resist it. And then the other one is 48 Powers
Of Law.
Of course, 48 Powers of Law. I want to wrap it up.
48 Laws of Power.
Oh, 48 Laws of Power.
Yes.
There had to be law
Guys,
in there.
that book,
What did it do for you?
look, it helped me a lot, especially when I was a candidate.
Okay.
I first read the book, I think 4th year varsity. I reread the book again during my candidacy period. It changed me. And it's not really like a rule book like this.
Okay.
But it does give you an element of understanding the corporate world.
Okay.
If you want to understand the corporate world, how to compete in the corporate world, how to survive the corporate world,
Okay.
you have to know that book. You have to read it. It gives you much more broader way on how to behave in the corporate space.
Okay.
For an example, there's one rule that I love that says that never outshine your master.
Very tempting. Yes.
Never outshine your master. And it explains why. And just because it says never outshine your master, it doesn't say that do not shine.
I was going to say, is it saying dim your light?
No. It explains why. It explains that should you outshine your master very fast, you'll be quickly eliminated from the game. Your master will not want to have someone that is going to outshine them in public. Outshine your master in a smart way. So it teaches you how to move the chess. If you play chess, move smart. Don't just move, because when you just move, you'll be quickly eliminated and you'll always have a problem. And you will change. For an example, in my field, you'll never complete your articles in one firm. Because you will say that, my principal this, she's having this problem with me. Now, you must be smart about how you say it, your delivery, how you deal with your master in this instance being whoever is superior to you at the time. But it doesn't say that do not shine. Shine, but shine smart. Shine to be the friend of the master.
Sure.
Right. And there's the other one. This one is going to, obviously, this one, you will know that it will be me. It's also one of the rules. It's a rule that says that guard your reputation at all cost.
Guard your reputation at all cost.
At all cost, because look, your reputation is everything. Your reputation is life, and that's what I stand by. There are many of them, and I enjoy the book a lot. Like I can even read it. Like I think I would read it 5 times. I've read the book like 3 times, and I enjoy it. And really, it's not a rule book, but it really makes you to understand the corporate world, and it helps you to navigate the corporate world. Yeah. And then the last one, that's my current fave, and I think it's because of, you'll know why.
I know. I already know.
that one, you will know why. And the book is it's Atomic Habits.
Okay. Who Moved My Cheese? 48 laws of
Yes.
of what? Of power?
Power, yes.
Of power and Atomic Habits.
Yes.
Yeah, no, you're gonna wake up like
Yeah. Atomic Habits. I think it's
machine.
I love the book because it emphasizes on the small things that we do every day that we don't recognize that are actually working towards the bigger goal.
Okay.
And especially with you in business, there are phases where you are really where you feel like you're not growing and you feel demotivated and you feel like it's not as rapid as I wanted it to be. But then you quickly remember, if you read the book, that look, each day, the fact that you showed up, the fact that you did one small thing, it's actually a stepping ladder towards the big goal that you want to achieve. Ooh. So I'm that's my current read. I'm enjoying it. But this is very difficult. And I'll hold you accountable to it because I have so many books.
I know, and I'm sorry.
That was hard.
But we have to start somewhere. I mean, it's not the end, but thanks to you, I'm now going to take up the task of my lit corner. The feature on Black Bookish Badass. I am going to do a whole recommendation list in collaboration with Lit Culture to bring you 10 titles that you can look at. And I'm specifically going to start off with fiction because of our little banter here. And then I'm going to get her to take one and read one or buy one and read one because I want us to create that shift.
I'm going to read it. It's fine. I will read. Give me this this fiction book. Like, I'll read it. Give me one and I'll have to give you a review.
I will change your mind very quickly. Pilar, thank you so much, friend. I appreciate it. You are badass. You are doing all things that we need to start seeing more of. And I cannot wait to have you back here. When I was thinking about this episode, I thought, we want to keep it at 45 minutes because I just don't want to bore people and I don't know how this is going to go. And I don't want to yap too long. And then we start, go to say what you need to say and then shut up. And then keep it brief. I love keeping it brief, but I realize now why this format allows us to be able to tap into so much more. And thank you so much for making time. I know your schedule is crazy. Will you be back?
I will be, definitely. And we will have to discuss the fiction book first. Definitely when I come back.
Look out for the list on my page. It's Ludwe_N on Instagram. I am going to post on Fundi Africa as well and will be supported by Lit Culture on that recommendation list. Lastly, before I really turn everything off and we leave and we go home, where can people access you for that consultation? On your socials, are you active? What's going on and how do we speak to you?
You can find me on the socials. We are there, MKS Inc. It's Memela KS on Instagram and we are on LinkedIn as well. It's Memela KS Inc. We're there. You can also access me through my number. It's 073 600 4767, 073 600 4767. And we're based in Rosebank Carters. So if you go to our website, you'll get all the details of where we are.
And the website, the web address is mksinc.co.za.
Yeah.
There's also that article. I will post it up as well. I'm going to include the link here. I want to do a quick disclaimer. When people say I'm going to include the link here, I have joined in on those people who say I'm going to include the link here. I'm going to find a way to include the link. I'm going to get help. Somebody's going to help me at the link here, wherever here is. Also subscribe. And thank you very much for joining us. Look out for more of these. Listen, here we take it one step at a time. I don't want to put pressure on myself. We're going to see. We are talking cultural workers, writers, media practitioners, professionals. If Black people can do it and they're badass at it, we are going to profile them here and we're going to have a chat and talk about things that matter to us and things that are fun and books. Continue reading. See you next time.
Thank you.